There's a version of you that people can't get a reaction out of. Not because you're confident, not because you're mature, because your mind is sealed. They poke. You don't flinch. They throw a rumor. You don't chase it. They try to embarrass you. You don't explain. And the scariest part, that version of you isn't born. It's built.
Built? Please? You mean numb?
No, I mean disciplined.
You're about to sell them the fantasy of being cold.
I'm about to show them the cost of staying warm. Because right now, whether you admit it or not, someone can move you with a sentence.
That's called being human.
That's called being controllable. And in a world that's been shaped by competition for thousands of years, being controllable is a liability. Stay until the end. Because I'm going to give you one line, one internal command, that shuts the whole reaction system down in real time. But first, you need to see what's actually happening when you just can't let it slide. You were taught that strength means responding, defending, proving, correcting, making sure people know you're not the one to mess with.
Because if you don't respond, they think they won.
Exactly. And that belief is the leash. The oldest social technology on earth is this. Trigger someone, and they'll volunteer their energy.
Social technology? You mean drama?
Call it whatever makes you feel safe. The result is the same. You get pulled into fights you didn't choose. And you call that having standards.
It is having standards.
No. It's having buttons. And if you have buttons, people will press them. Consciously or not. So here's the deal. I'm giving you 7 laws of psychological coldness. Not to make you cruel. Not to make you empty. To make you untouchable. And if you think you don't need this, ask yourself why a comment from a stranger can change your mood for 3 hours.
Because we have dignity.
Because you have a nervous system that's been hijacked. Your brain is not designed for modern life. It's designed for survival inside a tribe. In that world, reputation was oxygen. Being challenged meant you might lose access to food, protection, mates, status.
Finally, someone who respects history.
I respect it enough to stop obeying it blindly. Because your brain still treats social friction like war. A tone feels like a threat. Being ignored feels like exile. Someone questioning you feels like you're about to be demoted in front of the tribe.
Because you are.
In your head. And that's the trap. You're fighting battles that only exist in your nervous system. Every time you react instantly, you're telling the world, here's how to control me.
No. You're telling the world you're not weak.
Same thing if your strength depends on other people's behavior. If your peace depends on their respect, you don't own your peace. They do. And most people live like that without ever realizing it. So we're flipping it. 7 laws. Short. Sharp. Usable. And you'll notice something uncomfortable. The more you apply them, the less you'll feel the urge to be understood.
That's because you'll become unbearable.
Or you'll become unmovable. Big difference. Law 1. Your attention is your currency. People think time is expensive. It isn't. Attention is expensive. Because attention is what time turns into. When someone provokes you and you bite, you just paid them.
Paid them? With what? Your tears?
With your focus. Your mood. Your momentum. Let's make it brutal. What's the return? What do you gain by replying to a passive-aggressive message? What do you gain by correcting someone who doesn't care? What do you gain by replaying an argument in the shower like it's training camp?
You gain respect?
No. You gain a habit. Here's the rule. Before you respond, ask, does this deserve my attention, or is it trying to steal it? If it's stealing, you don't negotiate. You don't explain. You move on.
That's avoidance.
No, that's budgeting. Law 2. Never explain to someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. There are people who don't want clarity. They want you on the defensive. Because defense is a weak position.
Or maybe they just want the truth.
Then they'd ask questions instead of throwing conclusions. Watch the pattern. They accuse. You scramble. They smirk. You type paragraphs. And in your effort to be seen as good, you leak information.
Information is power.
Exactly. So stop giving yours away to prove you're innocent. A cold person understands this, Explanations are for allies, not predators. Rule: if someone comes at you with a verdict, don't give them a trial.
So you just let lies hang in the air?
Sometimes, yes. And it drives manipulative people insane, because they can't steer you with guilt. Law 3. Silence is not surrender. It's control. Most people think the strongest person is the loudest. That's a child's idea of strength.
Nice. Insult them. That'll keep them watching.
Good. Stay uncomfortable. When someone attacks you and you swing back, you step into their arena. You accept their rules: speed, emotion, chaos. But silence does something more violent than words. It removes you from the game.
And they'll call you weak.
Let them. People label what they can't control. Silence forces a question in their mind. Did that not land? That uncertainty eats at them. Meanwhile, you keep your posture, your dignity, your energy. Rule: don't use silence as a tantrum. Use it as a filter. Law 4. Non-reaction is how you break conditioning. Here's the part that will mess with your head. People don't just insult you to express themselves. They insult you to test your predictability.
Or they insult you because you deserve it.
See? Even you want to make it personal. It's often not personal. It's tactical. Humans learn through feedback loops. They poke. You react. They store the result. They poke again. That's how bullies are built. That's how bullies sharpen their tools.
So what's your genius move?
You don't give feedback. No visible hit. No reward. No closure. You leave their attempt hanging in the air like smoke. And their brain keeps replaying it, trying to finish the loop, while you spend zero mental energy on them. That imbalance is power. Rule: the next time you feel the impulse to clap back, pause and ask, what outcome are they trying to buy from me? Then refuse the sale. Law 5. Scarcity creates value, but only when it's real. Let's be honest. People treat you the way you train them to. If you're always available, always replying, always proving, they start to treat your presence like tap water.
So you want to play games now?
No. I want to set a price. Real scarcity isn't ghosting. It's prioritizing. It's making access to you something that isn't guaranteed.
That's cold.
Exactly. Cold is clean. Warm gets exploited. Rule: be fully present when you choose to be present, and unreachable when you're not. People can't disrespect what they can't casually access. Law 6. Cut clean, not dramatic. There are people who feed on your reactions like oxygen. They don't want peace. They want engagement.
Engagement is connection.
No. Sometimes it's just consumption. 3 types you have to recognize fast: the underminers, the chronic critics, and the emotional drains. Underminers smile and sabotage. Critics never build, only comment. Drains always have a crisis that somehow becomes your job.
You're telling them to abandon people.
I'm telling them to stop bleeding for people who enjoy the sight. Rule: don't announce the cut. Don't plead. Don't get closure. Just remove access, consistently, quietly, permanently. Nothing confuses a parasite more than a host that stops reacting. Law 7. Win without moving. This is the law your ego hates, because ego thinks power is action. Respond, post, defend, prove. But the most advanced form of control is strategic stillness.
Stillness gets you walked on.
No. Stillness reveals who's trying to walk on you. Example: someone spreads rumors. The reactive move is damage control. You explain. You chase. You beg to be seen correctly. And you confirm the rumor has power over you. The strategic move is boring. You do nothing. You keep showing up with results. Reality speaks longer than panic.
And if people believe the rumor?
Then they weren't yours. Another example: someone competes with you loudly. They mimic. They posture. They want a rivalry. If you acknowledge it, you enter their frame. If you ignore it, you stay in yours. Rule: don't sprint because someone else is yelling race. Let them tire themselves out trying to drag you into motion. Now let's do the part you've been avoiding. Because all of this sounds good until the moment you're triggered. Until the heat rises. Until your fingers want to type. That's when brain gets loud.
Because that's when you need me. You think you're above the tribe? You think you can take disrespect and survive?
And there it is. The ancient fear. If I don't react, I lose rank. So here's the move that changes everything. Not breathing, not affirmations, not being the bigger person. One question: What am I afraid will happen if I don't react?
They'll think you're weak.
And?
They'll keep pushing.
And?
You'll lose control.
No. Reacting is what hands them control. The fear isn't about them. The fear is about your identity, the addiction to being seen a certain way.
So you want them to stop caring what people think.
I want them to stop being owned by it. Here's the historical truth you can't escape. Humans have always tested each other. In courts, in camps, in cities, in wars. The easiest person to manipulate is the one who's emotionally predictable.
Predictable means safe.
Predictable means usable. If you explode at disrespect, they'll disrespect you to move you. If you collapse when ignored, they'll ignore you to control you. If you explain when accused, they'll accuse you to drain you. Being cold isn't being cruel. It's refusing to let your nervous system become public property. It's emotional sovereignty. You decide what enters and what stays outside. And the people who can't control you with triggers either respect you or disappear.
And if they disappear, you'll be alone.
Better alone than owned. Remember the line I promised? This is the command. Burn it into your head. If it can be triggered, it can be controlled. So the next time you feel the urge to react, don't ask, what should I say? Ask, who benefits if I move? And if the answer isn't you, you stay still.
That's cold.
Exactly. Stay untouchable. If this hit you, if you felt yourself in it, subscribe. Not because I'm asking, but because this channel is where you rebuild the version of you that can't be moved. And if you keep your circle small or you've been cutting people off lately, watch the video on your screen. It's going to tell you something you don't know about why you're doing that.